a little bit of the kind of the dating life, because there's been a surge in the Kevin Samuels community. Because I think you pointed out to me like a year ago before the pandemic started, Kevin had like, what, 200,000 subscribers or less, something like that?
Something.
Yeah, something like less than 200,000 subscribers. And then now he's at like,
700,
800, close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if y'all don't know who Kevin Samuels is, he has a podcast, a channel where
He's a big-handed human being, first and foremost.
Oh, yeah, his hands are
His
huge.
hands are fucking ridiculously big.
Yeah, they're ginormous.
Like that big that you have to stop the podcast?
No,
and
they
be
were
what
big.
the
Like I
fuck?
remember me and Gene were watching,
Yeah.
and we were like, "Holy fucking shit, dude! Look at his hand! Like a smack from Kevin Samuel might change your mind."
Just a simple fact that he puts that hand up to threaten you with a slap. He's like, whoa,
Calm down.
hold
Let's
on. Let's
negotiate
think
now.
this through real quick. Let's
That's
talk
not
it out.
classy. You wearing all these suits and shit.
Not a very good image since you're an image consultant over here.
You change your image with that slap. I'm telling you.
So correct me if I'm wrong here, Jock.
Mhm.
Wow, Jock, I don't know where that came
No,
from.
me and Doc, we became one human
Yeah,
being.
I was about to say.
Yeah, we did. We did.
We
do
fucking did.
this. We did do
did the
this
fucking
thing that you
fusion
said we did,
dance.
yeah.
Jeez, that's funny.
Became Jock.
Jock.
So correct me if I'm wrong
We
when it
shall.
comes to my okay, Jacques, make sure y'all correct me if I'm wrong with my description of Kevin Samuels and his platform. So it seems like he's built his community to not necessarily negatively critique women, but to at least have some kind of discussion, dialogue when it comes to their expectations in the dating life.
Correct. But
I'll try to be as fair as possible, because Kevin Samuels can be kind of brutal in his opinion sometimes.
I'll say this. Kevin Samuels doesn't lean on talking about women.
Yes, he's very fair.
Women approach him
Yes.
on the conversation.
Yes.
So it's
He's just taking advantage of it because they're willing to get on his
So
podcast.
he shuts down men as well.
Oh, I've seen it
Yeah.
on the Auburn Preach episode.
I'm just saying for the people.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them
He's
to
not a
feel
woman
like
hater.
at
Exactly.
all.
I don't think he's a woman hater.
Well, he might be hurt.
He might be hurt. I've said that before too. Like, it seems like he's got a little bit of a hurt past. He's letting leak a little bit sometimes when he has these discussions. Because it's like, you don't need to say it like that, or you it seems like you're losing patience a little bit too
You know
easily.
what it is? Kevin Samuels strikes me as the guy who who are the ladies that teach women manners?
Etiquette or
Etiquette teachers, right?
something like that. Yeah.
This is gonna sound wild, Gene, but it makes perfect sense. Kevin Samuels got touched when he was a little kid by an etiquette teacher.
Explain.
That's not where I thought you were going with that.
Because like his whole character and demeanor is like the woman who hurt him had to have been so sophisticated, so like bourgeois, that it would have had to be like an etiquette teacher, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't make sense. It had to be somebody who was just so, I don't know, like, Kevin Samuels just strikes me as somebody who doesn't even want people to touch him. Like, why are you touching me? Why are you speaking to me? Why are you in my presence? And so for a woman to
Like, I'm wasting
hurt
my
him,
time even, yeah.
I just feel like that woman would have, like, for example, for a woman to actually get under my skin and my nerves, she'd probably have to be hella bougie. Like, to hurt my feelings, had to be hella bougie and just talk to me in a way that was, like, really crazy. But for Kevin Samuels, probably something similar. I just don't see him being hurt by a regular female and then ending up wearing suits for the rest of his life.
So let me finish painting up the topic. And so Kevin Samuels in his community right there. And then there seems to be a rise in a similar community, and that's the Fresh and Fit podcast, who kind of parrot Kevin Samuels' talking points and opinions.
I know you were going to bring them up.
Well,
No, you go. You're right. I hate them so much.
Because my point, so let me finish up here, tie it all together, is for a decade, there has been this narrative that toxic masculinity, right? Men can be toxic. Certain things with masculinity it's toxic, and that definition has gotten broader and broader.
Correct.
And now to tie into points you've made several times about several topics is we can't help but overcorrect sometimes, and it seems like we're reaching a point that we're now overcorrecting when it comes to men in the dating community. Because my issue when it comes to Kevin Samuels and the Fresh and Fit podcast, when it comes to them and their shared opinions of the women in the dating community, is I feel like they stop halfway with their points because they're trying to take advantage of some of the how do I say this? I don't know if it's take advantage, but they're trying to build men up without actually instilling a level of accountability and responsibility, if that makes sense. I don't think that's the right way to characterize it, but
they're the other side of they're the other side of the incel community. So for example, like the way women would take advantage, not even incel, simp community. So what they're doing is they're creating male simps for themselves. And like
male simps for males.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
It's like instead of simping, like there's always anti-culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for whatever it is. So to me, this is the anti-culture for simping for women. And so what you have here is men playing off the same insecure men, but we're giving them a level of mental freedom by telling them they're being manipulated by somebody else, but we're actually manipulating them by telling them that.
I agree
so we're
with that.
building
Yeah,
trust with, you're building a trust in me because I have saved you, or I have put myself in a way that I'm not trying to take advantage of you mentally like this person is, but I am, because I'm actually using you by rescuing you mentally from that area. I'm putting you in a place that just you're becoming another voice in my echo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
So now just forego your thinking and feel comfortable in your insecurities. So like I've had this problem with women all the time, and and I'm not saying the problem is women. I'm saying I've personally had this problem with women, where they try and set the parameters of us dating based off their insecurities. You know what I'm saying? And so like when I engage on something or do something, they may not want to interact that way, which is cool, but then they also have a problem with me kind of doing my own thing, or they have a problem with me kind of accepting that and moving on and not wanting to participate. So like if a girl says, I don't like scary movies because I saw a scary movie when I was a kid. Now you can't watch scary movies, right? With the girl. The girl would get mad that I went to go watch a scary movie on my own.
You're not changing up for her pretty much.
That I'm not changing up for her. And it's based off, so it's like there's definitely space for Fresh and Fit and Kevin Samuels and what they're talking about.
Space.
But the voice of reason should be objective and almost more in search of like actual understanding, rather than they're giving them an enemy, and they're making their enemy people that they really won't really interact with on a regular basis, honestly speaking. And you don't have to, because the girls that you have on the Fresh and Fit, the girls that you have on Kevin Samuels that just don't get it, or the men, regardless of the sex or the gender,
mm-hmm.
those people aren't the...
So let me give an example, I guess, as to why I bring this up. And my critique is more so with Fresh and Fit than Kevin Samuels.
100%.
Because Kevin Samuels, when he tries to explain his points, he's trying to specifically say, based off what you're looking for, this is a possibility and this, you need to be aware of this. Where I feel like with Fresh and Fit, they're saying, like, this is what men should become. Because they actually advocate, like, we're trying to help grow men to achieve this 10 to 20% of a top-tier men, whatever they say. Without taking consideration some of the things they're advocating, I would argue don't make a top-tier man. Even if you are making six figures, even if you are 6 foot, good-looking, dressed like blah, 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 that's not a top-tier man.
I completely agree.
My example for that is, I think his name is Myron. Myron's argument that men don't cheat, women cheat. And that's because men and women show commitment differently. And he says women show commitment through their fidelity and men show commitment through their sharing of their resources, security, protection, paying for their like car, food, all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like, no, dude, that's still cheating. I agree with you that men and women show commitment differently. But if there wasn't a discussion beforehand about the relationship between you guys, and it was monogamous, and like you didn't tell them that you're going to be with other people, it's monogamous and you cheat, just be like, no, it's still cheating. Like, I feel like you're trying to justify your lifestyle at this point.
Your psychological nature should not affect right and wrong.
I completely agree with that.
Like, right and wrong is right and wrong.
Yeah,
and so even if there's a million years history of men doing this thing,
yeah,
and you say, well, look, they can't help it. Well, the action, if it's murder, it's still murder. Like, I just don't get it. Like, so I'm right there with you, especially when he speaks. I know the one you're talking about, Frank Castle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's It's all from in my opinion. I don't know. I'm not one to judge, and I don't like anybody saying they're here to do anything for a whole community. Like, we're here to raise men and make men better. Well, then you're also setting a limit, because the limit is what you can do for me. We're only gonna go as far as you take us. Like, it's just so much ego in that sentiment of I'm here, we're here, we got to do. What do you like? I don't know. It's just a lot of ego in it to me. I don't like people who date with ego. I don't like people who speak with ego. I don't like people who
completely
speak
agree. And
with
they
pride.
exude ego to me.
It's just too much. It's too much. And so, for example,
because I feel like when it comes to the dating world, what will benefit both us, men and women, is higher quality men and higher quality women. But the problem is, I feel like we're doing the stupid dance of men are toxic, women are toxic, men are toxic, women are toxic. Because like I said before, we went through 10 years of toxic masculinity. Now, like I try to say with your points about us overcorrecting, now it seems like we're overcorrecting to like women are toxic. Go like let's be. I don't say necessarily women haters, but just fuck commitment. We're just gonna sleep around.
The way the IRS started following OnlyFans is the men paying for the OnlyFans started reporting the girls. Yes.
Wait, what? How?
They started reporting that these girls
were probably not paying taxes. Like, for example, the Snapchat girls, they were doing like selling their like subscriptions about before the OnlyFans came about. Girls would do some kind of subscription based thing with their Snapchat, 18 plus only,
private.
And yeah, exactly. And it got to a point where some people decided to turn these girls in, and they actually got a percentage of that money from turning themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Well, I mean, they're technically independent contractors, so.
Yep.
I guess that's.
I'm just saying that's the level of toxicity we have in the dating pool, because chances are the people reporting them are the people who paid for the service. So it's just like that's currently what's going on. So yeah, I agree with you. It's just who's.
But I want to specify that even though I agree with a lot of the points they make, though. I guess that's my struggle with Kevin Samuels. Well, like I said, my main critique is the Fresh and Fit podcast. So I guess let me stick to that. So I agree with a lot of the points they make. Like, they make very good points about when it comes to the relationship between men and women in the dating community. Like, for example, when it comes to women's expectations of men, every time they have women on, they ask them what they look for in men. Almost, I don't want to say 100%, like 90% of the women on there say they want a man who earns more than 6 figures, a man who's 6 foot tall, and a man who looks nice.
That's not fair either, because they invite the people, first off.
Oh, completely true. I agree.
They invite a type to their podcast, and if you don't fit the type, they invite you thinking you're stupid. They invite the women thinking they're stupid, honestly speaking. And even when they talk
to them, you can tell they speak to them like they're stupid.
Lack of
it's very disrespectful. Yeah.
And then the way they actually get the women is Instagram. Fresh slides in DMs. Y'all want to come on the show? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, cool, boom. The way it's already sleazy. So, like, any information they give as far as them being a sample size for anything that represents the dating pool or community is already fucked up, because they're knowingly searching for a type to feed their niche audience that they have. The men who feel like they need to save these women. I need to raise these women. And you've seen the comments on the Fresh and Fit. Yeah, like,
but they would argue that's not what they're trying to promote when it comes to their platform.
That's the only type of women they invite.
So do you think, though, that like they're also trying to tell men how to get this particular type of woman?
Yeah, they tell them. They said on a previous podcast, like, what we're trying to do. Pretty much, yeah. Like, they tell, if you want to get with these type of women, this is what they look for. They look for men who are fit, high earning, and tall. Obviously, like, you can't do anything about your height, so they help them work on their finances. They actually have a finance aspect of their platform. They teach them finances. And then I think Myron used to, I don't know if he still does, has a fitness channel. He's trying to help them better themselves to actually, I guess, compete in the dating community. My only issue is, even though
it's pseudo help, though.
Yeah, like I agree with that. It's pseudo help.
He doesn't want to help anybody.
Because a lot of the things they're saying is just, I don't know if, and I don't say necessarily wrong, but toxic. Like, you're not like.
It sounds like absolute, like it's just like absolutism, where it's just like, this is the way it is, man. If you want it or not,
that's
like,
how you
get it.
Yeah, that's exactly how he speaks.
So my I guess an example for that is his community loves this this metaphor, and that's the candy shop metaphor, which is when women turn 18, they get access to the candy shop immediately, just instant access. They could go. It's a metaphor for the sex, pretty much. So once they turn 18, they get to go into candy shop. They get all the candy they want, figure out what they like, don't like instantly. Men have to wait, as he says, 10 to 15 years, build up a certain level of finances, usually 6 figures, and then build a level of fitness, of physicality before they can even get an option to go into the candy shop. And that's why, and he used that analogy for the explanation of that's why men sleep with a lot of women and women don't sleep with a lot of men.
Okay.
Because when they finally get in, they go nuts.
Stupid, because the reason it's stupid is because if he's talking about access to the candy shop as if, now we agree on natural playing ground, a woman has an advantage based off of
Yes.
how our lust works.
Yes.
Now, when a man gets rich, we are the ones in control. So that candy shop metaphor is stupid.
Well, it comes down to the fact that we harp on women who manipulate us through the use of their sex appeal, right? It's wrong. Just like it's wrong for a man to use his finances and his status to manipulate women. That's I guess that's the root of my issue with their platform, is they're trying to justify the toxic side of the men's game.
Mm-hmm.
And not taking consideration like that's also bad.
Wrong.
That's wrong. We shouldn't be nurturing this and advocating for this. This is like, if you want to be a quote unquote a top tier guy, yes, high salary,
That's for yourself.
fitness.
It should be for yourself.
For yourself, blah blah blah.
But it's out of spite almost.
Yes, it feels like they're nurturing a spiteful energy.
100%.
That's why
it sounds like the opposite of like the extremists who go into the like independent woman thing. Or to the point where it's just like, I can't even open the door for you because it's like you're so insecure about being independent that like it freaks you out. And I think it's the same thing for guys, where it's just like, dude, you really have to make $1 million for you to be secure to think that women would want you.
Like, what is that? Like, what is that? Like, you, and he said, and then the this is the hurt part. He said you have to be 6 figures tall and to get access to even go in the candy shop. Whereas women always had the access to the candy shop. I'll tell you what. I
was around that candy shop early on, navigating around for a while.
And I'll tell you what.
Realized I hate this candy shop.
But there's different ways to get in that bitch.
Yeah, there are different ways to get in there.
There's different ways to get in there.
And there's different candies, bro.
There's different, like, you do, like, so. As far as
but then one could argue saying, but because some guys, it's true, some guys don't get access to that candy shop too late. Like, some guys aren't as confident early on. Some guys, it's just things affect our confidence. Generally speaking, yes, men tend to get into the candy shop late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, I guess, unfair for guys like like us who haven't really had a problem when it comes to candy.
But this whole thing is just stupid because, look, man, like, it's just stupid, dude. What are you saying? Rich man is at top of the dating totem pole.
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
So the whole thing is stupid already because as soon as I'm not even the candy shop, I own the candy shop. Once I'm a man with money, I own the candy shop. And rejection for what? There's a price for that. Like, I'm not gonna be worried about none of that. If I want it, I'll buy it. If I don't want it, I won't buy it. I'm desensitized to things, sure. I'm pretty sure it's probably not healthy for me to look at things that way. But if I sincerely want things, then I can buy them. And then the things I can't buy, guess what? Then we have to stop talking about looks. We have to stop talking about the success thing. Because if I'm rich enough and the girl's still rejecting me, are you telling me it's not about my money? So then what does Myron do with that? What does Myron do with that? Because I'm pretty sure he's successful now. You think he doesn't get rejected at all? At all? So it's just stupid to me. Everything is so nuanced when it comes to dating and people. It's just weird to me how people always want to generalize. When always, everything. It's weird. It's fucking weirdo.
Because there are like how I try to look at it, just trying to stick to the dating topic, is it's a bell curve.
Okay.
We have the left side of the bell curve, which is the bad side, the negative side, the toxic side. And the bell curve encompasses both men and women.
Okay.
So we got the toxic negative side of the bell curve. Then we got the general middle bell curve where we usually all fall into. Then we got the right side of the bell curve, which is I guess where we're all kind of strive to be, which is the positive balance side.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the problem is because like I said before, we had a decade of toxic masculinity. It's heavily gone to the left side of the bell curve, and then slowly started to work back to the middle, giving men a little bit more, I guess, not power, but a voice finally. Their voice has gotten a little louder. Finally, we can speak up. And now that we're finally in the middle, we can speak up. Now we're falling right back to the negative side. Now it's our turn to say, toxic femininity, women this, y'all are not this, y'all don't know what you want, y'all are delusional, this that they always say, blah, blah, blah. It's just the disrespectful things they say about women. It's like, dude, you don't need to be doing all that to get your point across. At this point, you're using them as a stepping stone, and that's fucked up.
Like, those women on that podcast are being exploited.
Completely.
100%. 100%. And it's mutual. Because depending on what their goals are, it's mutual depending on what their goals are. But you're boxing these women into a category no matter what.
Yeah, in
for
the
your
corner,
audience to look at them a certain type of way. You're
completely
cornering
agree
them
with
in a
that.
certain type
Yeah.
of so when it comes to that type of stuff, like all that verbal jutsu and like
exactly what that is.
Like all that type of stuff, like it just doesn't do well with me. It doesn't play
I actually
well
think
with me.
it's a little weird too because it kind of depends on like the type of mindset the people have. So like on the same topic where I was like thinking about it, I was like, I'm around a lot of liberal women all the time, and to me, one of the big plights of being around liberal women is that from what I've observed, I mean, I don't know for sure, or I can speak in generalizations of it, but I'm still gonna do it because I'm just gonna explain my observations. Is that they're upset that the male patriarch commands them and they want to be free in their sexuality. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they want to be able to sleep with as much men as they want to be able to have
Yeah.
that sexual freedom that men have, to be able to sleep with whoever they want without being judged for sleeping with whoever they want.
yeah, and
Is
they
that
don't want
right?
to be and they don't want to be slut shamed and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm
And
with you.
so I understand that. The paradox to me though is that
Men love sluts.
yeah, kind of, yeah, but like the sense of like
women that don't like sluts.
like it's like men are already seen as being too sexually aggressive, and it's just like, wait, so if like the guy's too sexually aggressive but you want freedom and sexuality, they're kind of one and the same. It's just like the same coin with two different sides. So it's a little bit of a paradox, and that's kind of the weird part about it, because it's like you guys are saying, right? Like the roles as like they're, I guess, like perceived are that the women are the selectors and the males are the
Protectors.
no, like they're more so like the engagers. Like they go, they engage the woman decides to select or not, and if she doesn't, then well, you go and engage another woman.
I got you.
And
Okay.
and you kind of keep going down like that until you eventually find someone who you never choose to leave again, as a man, or the woman ever chooses to select another person. The moment the man abuses that option, he's a rapist. The moment the woman abuses her, power, she's a slut. And so everyone's kind of avoiding that. I think like in the liberal sense, like the women are, they want to be able to choose more than one without being called a slut. And but like that's the hard part though, because it's like for a man, it's like we almost have to stop engaging and just almost just be like, just wait.
That's the
At
power.
that point.
That's why my question
Yeah.
is: should we accept women as selectors, should society or men in general? I think that's a really big battle mentally for men.
I think
What
so
you
too,
just said,
because
like,
the
they
scary
don't
thing is like if you overengage and like you run the risk of being called a rapist
Mm-hmm.
if you overengage, and like that's I at least like for me honestly, like that's my thing too. When I see certain like women, I'm just like, dude, I just don't want to fuck up because that climate's intense. You know what I mean?
Bro, they gotta throw that thing in my face for me to goddamn jump on it. I swear to
Yeah,
God.
because that's the safest approach, right?
Mhm.
Especially if you're a cautious man. It's just like this is the safest thing you can do to not derail your fucking life if you've already built up all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that point, like to the rich man, even though the man is valuable, I think the man makes difficult choices at that point. And I can actually understand why a man who's like super wealthy would just rather buy it
Mm-hmm.
because it's essentially it's a safe contract.
Exactly.
Where it's just like it's a business
There was
transaction. Like,
trade.
here you
There
go.
was, something was exchanged both ways. No, I'm
Yeah.
right there with you, buddy. I'm right there with
And
you.
so, I don't know. To me, like that's always been the kind of plight. To me, the ideal equal world would be that both people are just openly like sexual and embracing their sexualities and stuff like that. Men can achieve what they want, women can achieve what they want, and they go into it. But that might kind of explode and crashing down at some point. So, especially if like people want to settle down and stuff like that.
Because that right, but that's the biggest issue right there is the settling down part.
What do you mean? Oh, and then this is another thing. People are so insecure they can't forgive people's past. They can't accept people's past. So it's like, bro, honestly speaking, what we're talking about, we're talking in circles. There's no math for this shit. The way we're grooming each other, it just doesn't. It's not gonna work out.
Well, you're right.
It's just not gonna work out.
Well,
She used to have sex with many men. Well, I can't take that. I can't take that. Maybe the person may be awesome. They may have grown. They may have gone through whatever they went through, developed, may have helped them, may have made them worse, whatever it is. I'm one of those guys who believe, look, I've been depressed before. I believe you learn through pain. I believe you learn through trials and tribulations, whatever it is. You put them in your own face.
struggles. Life's a struggle.
Life's a struggle. So like, I'm just not big on the judging. So it's always allowed me to date whoever or talk to whoever I'm talking to without putting my insecurities on them or being bothered by any decision they make independent of me. So like I've always just been really big on that. And so like,
But that doesn't mean that you can't have preferences. Like if you don't
I
want
can have my preferences. I
yeah,
have my
exactly. Like
preferences.
if you don't want a woman who's been around, that's fine. But don't treat her a
100%.
certain way because she's been around.
Don't want her.
Yeah.
Just don't want her. Don't date her.
Yeah.
Don't date the girl and then yell at her all the time because she can't unfuck anybody. Guys can't you can't unfuck anybody. So yeah, like you got to head on right there. I just don't. To me, that's the best and most honest way you could date, and it's just yourself. Like, be cool with yourself at all times, independent of that person's actions. You don't own that person, and we're getting to a point now where we're so affected by what people do without us. It's fucking a shit show now. Like, so we're based off of the way things are going. People are going to struggle before they find who they're supposed to be with, who they feel they can be with. Do we tell them, look, get it right the first? Is that what we're telling them? You have to get it right immediately.
Get it right the first time, or else you're like
Nobody's
shit out
gonna
of luck.
want you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Nah, I kind of like the organic method where it's just like I'm gonna be me and see
I'm
what
just be
rolls,
me. That's it.
what rolls out.
Like Gene sees how I talk to man. Like, dude, I'm not rude, Doc, but like I'm me. I'm me 100%. If it doesn't make sense, like, sorry, podcast, I'll fuck up some sex mid blowjob if I hear some shit that does not make sense to me. I don't care. Like, oh, you just gonna mess. Yes. Why did you say that? It made no sense to me. Can we discuss it? And if we don't have sex, we don't have sex. But I'm going to say what I need to say. And that's just how it's going to be. And my partner's just going to have to be comfortable with that. Like, I just don't want it any other way. All right?
I guess before we change subjects, the one thing I guess I want to touch on is I don't know if it's the positive side of dating, because obviously men want something when it comes to dating and women want something when it comes to dating.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like, to go back to, I guess, the Fresh and Fit podcast, they're not necessarily teaching men how to date. They're teaching men how to get laid.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the big difference.
They're teaching them this is what it means to be desirable.
And the problem with women, and I could be wrong here, but it seems like when it comes to women in the dating life, women aren't teaching other women how to date either. They're teaching other women how to
get stuff.
Exactly. To stay ahead, to stay in control, stay in power, not to be...
Everybody's trying not to get hurt.
Exactly. Everyone's just trying not to get
I think
hurt.
that's kind of what it goes down to.
Everybody's trying not to get hurt. That's really what it boils down to. So let me put this car in front of you. Let me put this makeup in front of you. Let me try and get some money. Everything we do is desensitizing the actual relationship. So that way there's a clean detachment. I was just using you for money anyway. Bitch, I was just fucking you anyway. I was just doing this. I was just doing that. Well, really, we would have hoped it worked out, but our pride won't.
Mm-hmm.
Our pride
So
won't let us.
let me ask you that though, like, and double-edged sword or be devil's advocate in this situation. Is that wrong that the detachment like is being taught? Like, because some people actually genuinely
Yeah.
want that.
Well, okay. What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Some
Like,
people
is it
just want to
wrong?
have. Some people just want to have fun before they decide to settle down. Like, is that
100%.
wrong, or do they have to from the get-go just be in like playoff mode? Like this is every game is real. Like, let's go.
I wouldn't call that. I wouldn't call just having fun a detachment though. I would put
Yeah,
that in
I
a
wouldn't
separate
either.
thing.
Yeah, I completely
Because
agree.
I think the detachment is from, well, if you're talking about the fun, the detachment is from a future, and it's not based on the person being bad, worthy or not. It's based off their own personal want of freedom and exploration, I guess, in that time in their life. So I think they're more attached to the living of their life at the moment, whereas they're just not looking for a consistent, committed partner. Whereas the detachment of, I'm actually secretly looking for a partner, but the way I'm going to approach looking for a partner is as if I'm not looking for a partner. Is the weird shit to me.
So
Because
Oh,
I can be a
definitely see
guy,
that, yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? I got money. I want it right now where I'm at in my life. I want a girl. I want to have a one person that I can be consistent with.
you want a
know what I'm saying?
monogamous relationship.
But then if I approach every girl like, man, I'm just gonna try and fuck. I'm just gonna try and fuck. I'm just trying to fuck. I'm just trying to fuck. Then how am I gonna get to my goal? And so what I'm not changing my habits because I'll be vulnerable if I do. I'm not saying I personally do that, but I'm saying that's how somebody's thinking.
Yeah.
So that's where I go with your question, Doc.
But I feel like there's a difference between wanting to have fun and like dating for fun and dating for commitment.
Yeah, 100%.
And I feel like the problem sometimes is the people who date for fun is you get stuck in that.
But also
So,
the fun can
what
teach
I'm-
you what you want to get committed to.
Say that again?
The fun can show you what you want to get committed
Oh,
to.
completely. I completely agree. My point is that when I say sometimes you get stuck in that, maybe the better way to describe it is
I was
lost in
agreeing
that
with you.
is that's how you learn how to talk to women
100%.
or navigate around women. So when you finally
100%.
decide to change it up and realize, okay, I had my fun, I realized my likes and dislikes. Let me actually now date with purpose and intent, proper intentions. Now when you're doing that, and honestly, I'm kind of in a way speaking from personal experience, is you realize, or not necessarily realize, but you're starting to pick the wrong women. Then when you coupled with picking the wrong women, you realize situations aren't working out as success as they used to work out. And it's like, geez, what am I doing wrong? What's going on here? Blah, 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 blah. It's kind of, I guess, an ego check in a way.
100%. It's like a girl. It's like you trying to talk to a girl, right? You pull up in your Corolla. You trying to talk to her. You got a Corolla. You pull up to another girl. You got a Corolla. You talk to another girl. You got a Corolla. So you go get a Benz. And now you don't want to talk to no bitch that's okay with you driving a Corolla. Now you want the bitch you want the one that said, ew, you're driving a Corolla. You want to prove it to her. That to me is
Weird.
Weird.
Yeah, that person has ego issues. And
Like,
you
you're
gotta try to
small.
do that shit. Yeah.
You're small. You're a small man.
I
The
The
completely
way
agree.
I remember reading a dating coach or like a dating, I don't know, somebody who's specialized in this, the way they explained it that I thought
Funny that
was
people
interesting.
specialize.
Yeah. Well, she was like a psychologist though. She wasn't just like,
Oh, okay.
I'm a personality.
I'm
like,
good
no.
at this dating
Still
shit.
funny. Yeah, still
Yeah.
funny to me. I'm sorry. Still funny.
She's like definitely like a couples counselor and stuff like that. But the way that she described it that I always thought was interesting was that people, when they separate fun from like the serious relationship and stuff like that, is they tend to categorize them in what she called stories versus missions. And she's like, if I want a story, like, I'm just going to chase this person. I've always wanted to date this type of person, this type of thing, in this place or whatever. So they'll go chase the stories. But once they realize that the mission's the most important part, that's when they start looking for the person who's going to be able to come up into the mission with them and complete it. Whatever, like, the end goal game values are.
I agree with that. I actually do agree
And
with
so, like, that's when, like, the mind shift changes. And it's just kind of like, some people never leave stories. Some people only search for missions and only get stories. And it's just like, you gotta walk through the mud in life, I guess, and to figure out what you get.
Yeah, I get you. Because it's almost like some people do look for a partner as almost like, what will I get out of it? If everything else fails, it's almost like if this person is just a horrible person, everything else fails, or they have no personality, what would they still offer me? What do they still have to offer me?
The story.
And that's
You
it.
had fun, man.
And I guess my last question or point of discussion
Well, if I
before we close
divorce
it
him,
out,
I'll
'cause it's
get
already
half.
what?
If I divorce him, I'll get half.
That's a terrible mindset to have. But
Well,
like I was saying, like,
How'd you get rich? I just divorced like 4 people and then just
know,
built a
I
wealth.
got married. I got married
Passive
4 different
income.
times. What gosh.
Yeah, it's terrible, man.
Hey, thanks for watching a clip of Fake Deep Thinking. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe, like the clip, leave a comment, and check out our page for more content. Full episodes of Fake Deep Thinking are released every Friday on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Peace.